there was a trick I was taught at school that if you want to write an essay or a speech or something, write from personal experience. So most of my stories come from an experience that I've had. And yeah, today I want to go and I've actually got a couple of things in my mind at the moment, so I want to touch on a couple of stuff. Firstly, let's talk about an experience I had with my uncle. It was a conversation, and he came around, and we were packing up my grandfather's house. My grandfather moved to a retirement village, and he was moving on to the next stage of his life. And we were packing up stuff, and he asked me, "How's it going?" And I said, "No, it's a little bit. There's no fireworks at the moment. I like fireworks, I like excitement." And he said, "Yeah, well, that's how life is. You get times of lull." And he asked, "So how's the girlfriend?" And I said, "Oh, it's okay, I suppose." And he looked at me and he said, "Hey, you know, good is the enemy of best." So I listened to this and I reflected on it for a couple of days. Good is the enemy of best. What could be better? And so I asked him again, "Explain good is the enemy of best." He says, "No, it's actually from a book, Current Leadership Theory, based on Jim Collins's work, Good to Great." Now, what Collins did is he actually went and he and his research team, they went and they looked at companies over a 15-year period that took a leap and went from being good companies to great companies. And then they looked at others that actually went from good and went down and became more mediocre companies. And in the theory, it's phenomenal because you've got to find what is great. Can you settle for good? Is it an injustice to yourself to settle for good? And you can do a good job or have a good job, but is it the best for you? And yeah, we're all diamonds, but are you shining to your full potential? That's the question. Now, I have a theory here that it all comes down to terminology. Now, and viewpoint, who we're listening to. Because you take something like there are 3 words that absolutely, I hate them. Like, they're good words. Don't get me wrong. These words are upliftment, job creation, and sustainable development. 3 concepts, okay? I hate them. They've cut nations off at the knees on potential because the goal is set at good. Now, if you look at my career as a curriculum designer, that's my career. I write textbooks. But I fill my career up with little jobs. So it's career creation. That's the long-term goal. That's how you become a specialist. And upliftment, you can lift someone up, you're going to have to drop them. But if you empower them, they can lift themselves. And sustainable development, sustain. I can sustain. With modern medicine, we can sustain life of people in comas with machines for years. A baby can be sustained with intravenous feeding, but we expect growth, we expect development. You can sustain life with breast milk, and then but the child is going to progress. So it's going to be progressive development, because at some point you got to transition from breast milk to oats, from oats to lentils to let's say meat or something. You can't live on milk alone. But we've used these words so consistently, upliftment, job creation, and sustainable development, so consistently for 30 years, that we've missed the plot that you're never going to get speed with just sustaining movement. You want progress. It's like, and all of this comes down to another concept of basics. We teach the basics, let's say, playing tennis, of forehand and backhand. But the really great, they do the basics every day. Forehand, backhand, serve. Forehand, backhand, serve. But then through play, through drop shots, through all the others, they learn how to vary on the basics. It's variations on the basics. And it's almost funny, a lot of careers, we don't go back to the basics. There are basic principles in architecture that an architect goes back to always and says, this is where we start. There's some basic principles in lesson plans, and you've got to know this, and you've got to keep practicing the basics. It's just very hard to actually find where are the basics in a single place. Something like assessment. Right now we're going into assessment season, and where are the basics? Where are the basic principles? You know why people don't, you're not allowed to copy in a test. It's not about don't copy. It's about authenticity of evidence. The evidence has to be authentically of the candidate being assessed, or the learner being assessed, or the student being assessed. The person being assessed has to provide real evidence of proficiency, ability. So the question is, how have our words cut us off at the knees to keep us in a point of mediocre goodness as opposed to greatness? And then, yeah, besides all of this, we've actually outsourced our leadership or our own sovereignty, because we think the leaders are going to set it for us and they're going to make us great. Leaders can't make you great. Currently, if you want to get my take on political viewpoint, we've had so little vision as a society for the past 60 years. I think the last big vision was, let's say, maybe in the Cold War, where it was democracy over communism, or maybe the Second World War, where it was basically to get freedom back into Europe. But it's not about war, it's about love, and that could be a vision to give everybody peace and a good lifestyle and prosperity and enjoyment and satisfaction and peace of soul. And it all comes down to the words we use: sustainable development. I've never met anybody who just wants like one benchmark salary for the rest of his life. Everybody wants to improve. They want to improve their quality of life. They want a better life for their children. I want a better life for my kids. And so yeah, we go back to the diamond and we move. Every time you cut your diamond, you cut it to shine better, to be better, to give off greater light. And yeah, we've got to look at our wording, because good, I believe, got us into this mess as a globe. And maybe, no, not maybe, it's imperative right now. We better go back to a book like Collins and find what works to make a company great. And maybe we can use those same principles and make society great again. Because we've lost the plot. And I believe it's still our thinking, compartmentalization. We've got to bring everything back together and balance the diamonds. Balance society again, within the context of knowing that we are in nature and of nature. Because if we carry on the way we're thinking, we're going to go from good to mediocre to nothing left. So yeah, a little bit more serious today, and yeah, a little bit more frustrating, but I think it's time for us all to start reflecting big time and learning lessons and changing the way we think. Not transform. Transform means that there is a form, and we've got to just make the old system obsolete by creating a new mental model. Well, I don't even have to create it. I've done that. I'm just the messenger, though. It's, yeah. Let's just stop there, because now I'm talking around a point. Let's set the cornerstone for a new earth. Let's make it a diamond.